Hi friends, welcome to November's Chapter Monthly Digest. My name is Jean. I'm a Senior Regional Program Coordinator here at KESM. Today we're going to share a fun mission moment. We're going to talk a little bit about October and what we did. We'll be looking at standards for November, going through some relevant resources so that you can be successful for this month. We'll go over some important dates in the KESM calendar, and then we're going to deep dive into the advisory board, expectations of your program coordinators during holidays, how to manage your coordinators during winter break that's coming up soon, and give you some important election information, as well as review kind of next month's big milestones. So starting off with a fun mission moment. So October really kicked off our fall training. We had some in September, but definitely all regions were in fall training during October. And we've had over 1,690 amazing student leaders just like yourself across the nation start to engage in fall training and get ready for an amazing year with KESM. Super exciting. And here's a picture of our sweet kiddos this is why we do the training is for them. Looking at October, so what did we do last month? We'll show in some upcoming slides the standards we completed. There was a lot of them, so thank you so much for all of your work there. We had some important dates. So fall training began. We got our intake volunteers applications in so that we can get our camper apps approved right away. We had our first ever virtual national fundraising event, our Magic Makers Ball, which was super successful. And it was so nice to see so many of you there. And then we also finalized our Giving Tuesday project plan. So that way we can be ready to go December 1 to raise money for our kiddos. Also last month, we deep dived into expectations for the Chapter Monthly Digest. We talked about dealing with ambiguity and talked a little bit about event planning as well. If you want a refresher on what we talked about last month, the October Chapter Monthly Digest deck is linked here for you. So really briefly looking at some standards that we completed in October, we actually have 2 slides here. You'll see there's a lot of standards right here kind of at the beginning, making sure that people know how to communicate with us, setting advisory board meetings, talking about Friends and Family Day, Giving Tuesday. And then you'll see there's a whole bunch that were due on October 31st, so yesterday, talking about compliance, making sure the standards agreement is signed by everybody, and making sure that our leadership rosters are accurate. This is going to be super helpful information for your chapter throughout the entire year, and really wanting to make sure that our fundraising plans, our touch points with our families, our community contacts are all taken care of. So thank you so much for everyone that put in all of this work. It's going to really help us have a great rest of the year. Talking about some standards that are due in November. So a little less stressful this month in comparison to last month. So some standards that you're responsible for is making sure that all of your advisory board members are set and that the meeting dates for the rest of the year in KESM Central by the 15th. Also by the 15th, we want to make sure that our advisory board membership is accurate. So we really want to know who's going to be on that board, help us be successful. You're always welcome to add members throughout the year as we get them, but all of the members that have confirmed from this year should be in KESM Central. That way we can track their information. And then lastly, trying to confirm dates for camp. So please reach out to your program coordinators for this information. They're the ones that are going to be working on contracts and providing you some more information. So please, ops, just follow up with your program coordinators or your directors to gather this information. Thanks, friends. Some relevant resources that are going to help you be successful in November. The During the Year Guide for Directors, always helpful. So this has a lot of information regarding how to manage your coordinators and how to also work with different people at your chapter. So super relevant always, but especially right now as we're talking about how to manage coordinators during winter break. Your advisory board guide, both for returning chapters and for new chapters. We're talking about advisory board a little bit during this call, so helpful to take a look at that. Your KESM Central Administrator Guide, always a useful resource to help you all as we navigate. Want to make sure you feel really comfortable and confident with KESM Central before our camper apps open in December. And then the social media guidance for public statements. So we are going to be talking about the election a little bit later on in this call, and so our national brand team will be providing some resources in there, so please make sure you check it out. Forms that are going to be super useful this month is the KESM member form. So this is how we track members at your chapter. So please make sure that we're using this in order to get the most accurate depiction of who's involved at your chapter. And then the funding request form. So as we're looking to get grants or sponsorships or tracking in-kind donations that your chapter receives, always really important that our national development team has that information. So please don't hesitate to use this form. All right, some important dates here for you all. We have a couple different things going on. So we have a Giving Tuesday webinar that's going to be happening. There's two different ones. So the first one being the week of the 9th. That is when your program coordinator is going to be running a webinar for your region. So they'll give you more details on what day specifically, but you can expect for it to be that week. Also, how to get involved. There's going to be a public webinar that's going to be hosted on our Facebook live stream. And that's going to be November 12th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time. There will be a staff retreat that all staff will be participating in. It's going to be a virtual staff retreat, but you should expect delays in responses, especially from your program coordinator, starting on November 9th through November 13th. So just keep an eye on that date. Affinity groups. So for those who don't know, we have a couple different affinity groups available to our student leaders and to our alumni. So students and alumni, we have the BIPOC, or Black, Indigenous, or People of Color affinity group. It's on the third Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So for November, that's going to be November 18th on Wednesday. And then we also have a student leader and alumni LGBTQ2IA group as well. That's on the fourth Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So that'll be on the 19th for November. And you must fill out the form that's linked here in order to get call information and be added to the Facebook group. So please share this information out with all KESM members and join if you are a part of these communities, and we'd love to see you there. Lastly, just a reminder that there are some holidays that are coming up this month. So all KESM staff will be out of the office November 26th and 27th to celebrate the holidays. So please just note you will not probably hear from your program coordinators or other staff at this time. Thanks, friends. All right, friends, time to jump into our deep dives. So starting off with our advisory board. So during sorry for the delay. During October, we were confirming our advisory boards, probably have had our first meetings. What we really want to talk about today is the monthly check-ins and the advisory board agreements. So when these things are due. So November 15th is the deadline to make sure the advisory board roster is up to date in KESM Central, all the dates for the rest of the year in KESM Central, and that advisory board agreements are signed. So this is going to probably take some time, so please make sure that you're really focusing on those advisory board agreements, and you might need to do some regular check-ins with your advisory board to gather this information. Why is it so important that we have these things? Why are we doing them? A couple different reasons. First one being stewardship of our advisory board. The advisory board can sometimes be around longer than our student leaders. They're a great resource for your chapter, so we really want to make sure that we build lasting relationships with them. Also just improved efficiency. For only talking to them 4 times a year, we're probably not getting all of the knowledge and information and resources that they have access to. So hopefully that's going to improve that. And then really what we want to focus on is strength-based engagement. So on those advisory board agreements, you'll see every different way that the advisory board members can be involved, but that might not make sense for every advisory board member, right? So we might have advisory board members that are really great at helping us improve our camper recruitment, while other advisory board members might be really focused on fundraising and event planning, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. We need all of those strengths. So the advisory board agreement really should be focused on what are the strengths that the advisory board member is bringing to the table, and then adapting those so that we know, okay, this is exactly what they're going to help us be really successful in, and this is where their strengths are. And then just increased accountability. So it's really important that we have these agreements so that we can really accurately see what we should expect and anticipate from our advisory board so that they know what we're going to kind of hold them accountable to for the rest of the year. And then those monthly check-ins are an opportunity to touch base, see if they're having any issues, if they need any support from us, or if we maybe need to pivot and do something different to help them to be successful while also supporting our chapters at the same time. So how do you go about having these monthly check-ins and having these agreements with your advisory board? Great question. So for these agreements, I just want to throw it out there. They can and they should be edited to match the specific advisory board members' strengths and contributions to support the chapter. And they should be reviewed regularly with your advisory board members. This should not be this one-time paper that gets filled out and we never look at again. This should be something that we're regularly looking at. Is this advisory board member meeting these expectations that we initially set? If not, why did maybe the chapter's needs change, did their circumstances change, and how can they continue to contribute to the chapter. So these should be edited and regularly brought up. I definitely think it's helpful to have your advisory board member look this over at least during the advisory board meetings and say, how today are you going to contribute to these 3 things, these 4 things that you agreed to back in November? How does what you're talking about today relate to these things, and how can we work together to help this chapter continue to be successful? And the monthly check-in. So I always get questions from my students about these. These can happen over the phone, they can happen by email, they can happen by video chat. It's really flexible on what works for you and what works for your advisory board member, but they should be happening. So we shouldn't just rely on checking in these 4 times during the year. We should be checking in monthly. We should be talking about, hey, during the advisory board meeting, you mentioned that you have a connection. Where are we at on that? Have you touched base with your employer? Okay, the employer said they don't do matching. How else are we going to make up that difference, right? So it can be really hard to lose track of tasks and make a lot of progress when we're only checking in 4 times a year, right? So these monthly check-ins are really to help make sure that we're touching base, getting information, and adjusting and pivoting as needed. So really important that we take advantage of these. I hope this is helpful for you in how to navigate your advisory board. Remember that your advisory board has made an agreement to support your chapter. I know that so many times students get really nervous or uncomfortable on holding your advisory board accountable, and just know that's why we have the agreement, is so that they agreed to be held accountable to these things. So please don't feel nervous about bringing this up and holding your advisory board to what they've agreed upon in November, so that we can help your chapters be successful and continue to grow year over year. If they're not doing those things, that's an important conversation to have with your program coordinator to talk about, does it make sense to continue to have them on their board? Is there something else that they can offer? Or are they just providing opinions and maybe not getting a lot accomplished? So let's continue to manage up and make sure that your advisory board is helping you to make your lives as easy as possible and helping your chapter continue to grow year over year. Moving on, the next thing we're going to talk about is expectations of your program coordinator during the holidays. So the who, this is for your directors and talking about your program coordinator. So some things for those that are new this year, there is a change this year that's happened. Starting November 1st through January 1st, all custom staff will be ending early on Fridays. So please talk to your program coordinators about what this means for them specifically. Obviously, custom staff are in different time zones, so please talk to your program coordinator about what this looks like for them. This may mean that we need to adjust our weekly call times. This may mean just trying to make sure that we email them early in the morning, and expecting that if we do email them later on Fridays, we might not get an answer till Monday. So I get this question all the time from students. When should I expect to talk to you during the holidays? What does it look like, and what can we expect? So I first want to say that program coordinators all manage their chapters and regions a little bit differently. So things may vary from region to region, and that's okay, and that's totally normal. I think the biggest takeaways that I strongly recommend for you to consider when you're thinking about how you're going to work with your program coordinator during the holidays and during the winter months is, first, remember that program coordinators will not have calls the first week of the month, so that you can review this resource. But there might be times where maybe we need to adjust that a little bit and maybe offer a different month depending on breaks and stuff like that. So just work with your program coordinator in terms of flexibility on that. And then recognize that program coordinators are staff, and there are staff-wide organizational holidays that they need to take in November, in December, and in January. So please just keep that in mind. And then program coordinators also have other times to take off, and they may choose to take it off during the holidays. Remember that your program coordinators, like you all, are human and may need to take some breaks and spend some time with families or celebrating holidays or doing other things. So please just make sure that we're communicating and working together in terms of communicating for the holidays. You should expect regular communication from your program coordinator. Please just loop us in if you need to take time off, or if you're struggling with our schedule. Confirm weekly call times in advance before you go on holidays, and discuss response time expectations. So remember that we are humans and that we need to take time off, and we're going to remember that you all are humans and that you also might need to take time off, whether that's taking time off for finals before you go on winter break, or maybe you want to take time off during winter break. Those are definitely conversations that we want to have with you, and we want to respect your time off. And it's still important that we, complete our tasks and set our chapters up to be successful during winter break. So please, when in doubt, just communicate with your program coordinator so that we can all be set up to have a successful and wonderful winter, and especially as we kind of start to move into some holidays, make sure that everyone is set up to both enjoy our holidays and get our KESM work done so that we can all be successful and our families are being supported. Winter break and holiday management. So this is super relevant for both directors and also volunteer coordinators. So directors are responsible for coming up for a plan in terms of working with their coordinators during winter break / holiday, and then coordinators come up with a plan for committee members. Definitely think this is something where volunteer coords should be really assisting coordinators with coming up with a plan for their committee members and helping them to be successful. What are we talking about? We're talking about holiday plans, winter break plans. I know for my region, most of my universities are going to be 100%, if they're not already 100% virtual, they will be 100% virtual after Thanksgiving, all the way through January. So that's a really long time, and really important that we have a game plan, because we can't just take a break from KESM during that time. We have a lot of major events happening during that time, so really important that we come up with a plan in advance. So why is it important that we come up with a winter break or holiday management plan? Well, our families don't get a break from their cancer journey during the holidays. If anything, sometimes they usually need more support during the holidays than any other time. So while it's important that we take breaks and take care of ourselves, it's also important that we continue to work year round to help that our chapters be successful and support our amazing kiddos. Also, taking a break from Thanksgiving through January, that's a really long time, and I've definitely seen it have a really large impact on chapters being able to be successful and come back and be productive when you've taken such a long break. So just because your university is maybe taking a break during the winter doesn't mean we're going to be taking a break from KESM. We can totally take some time to be with our families or participate in holidays and traditions, and we definitely want to balance making sure that we're completing our tasks as needed to help support our families and ultimately get as many kiddos involved with KESM as possible. So how do you do this? Set expectations early. Thanksgiving and those other holidays will be coming up very soon. Really important that we set expectations before the holidays hit. So that's why we're talking about this November 1. Please make sure that you're confirming check-ins and meetings before vacations start. If you wait until everyone is on vacation, I can almost guarantee there will be people that do not show up to your meetings and will say they're busy. So confirm before people leave and review the tasks that need to be completed. Talk about the why behind these tasks, why they're important, why they need to get done, why they're relevant to your chapter success. So there's a lot of tasks that are relevant for outreach and dev specifically. Camper Apps open on December 8th and Giving Tuesday is on December 1st. So there's a lot of prep work that we're going to be needing to do in November and through December and all the way into January. So please talk about that why with your chapter now and really help them to understand why it's important that we don't just completely disappear over winter break and why we need to still complete those tasks. I also wanted to loop in here, in my region in the past, we've had some fun winter break management tools to just kind of help coords complete tasks. I linked a couple examples in here. Please reach out to your program coordinator as well. I'm sure they have a couple examples of other ones that maybe work well in your region. And we're actually going to be doing a resource share out in the director Facebook group, but I just want to throw these out here. These are great ways to help keep your coordinators on task and organized during winter break. Also, other chapters might just want to use the workbooks. That's totally okay too. Don't feel like you need to create another resource, but if you'd like to see some resources, I have some linked in here for you. And we're also going to be doing some resource share outs on the director Facebook page in the coming days. So keep an eye out there as well. Switching gears a little bit, we're going to be talking about the election. So the election is coming up very soon. Depending on when you've look at this, it might be the next day or it might have already happened. So it's really important that we talk about the do's and don'ts and what to expect in an election year at KESM. So in an election year, do remember that KESM is a safe space for everyone, regardless of your political affiliation. every member of KESM, regardless of who you vote for, should feel safe, loved, and respected. So please keep that in mind. There's no political affiliation with KESM. Everyone is welcome here. You can normalize that there may be mixed feelings regarding the election. That's okay, and offer space for people who maybe need time to process those feelings outside of KESM. But what we shouldn't be doing is focusing on specific parties or candidates. Sorry, it's my dog Bubba coming into the screen. What we don't want to do during an election year is we don't want to promote specific candidates or parties in any election, whether it's local or state or federal. As a 501c3 nonprofit, we cannot endorse a specific party. We should not ask people to disclose their political affiliations or who they voted for. That information is irrelevant here at KESM. That is not important to us and not going to help us support our kiddos. So not important to disclose. We should not be asking people to disclose their political affiliation, and we shouldn't be having discussions about politics in KESM spaces. These conversations can often make people feel uncomfortable, depending on their party or their personal stance, and those should not be happening, and we should shut them down if they are happening. We should not be hosting any election parties or any other politically tied events for KESM members. So no election viewing party should be happening for KESM members or anything like that, no celebrations. We are going to be celebrating KESM, and there are tons of things to be celebrating right now in terms of getting ready for Giving Tuesday and Camper Apps opening, Friends and Family Days. Those we can definitely celebrate. Let's keep the political parties away from KESM, and forcing members to disclose or celebrate or not celebrate during this time. And then what you can expect from KESM. So there is guidance that's provided by our wonderful brand team on how to navigate the election in the social media guide that's linked in our resources slide. Please take some time to look at that. There should have been an email also that went out on October 23rd for you all to review a little bit more on how to navigate posting and stuff like that. So if you have questions about how your chapter can post about the election, please check it out there. Also, if you ever have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to your program coordinator. But at the end of the day, just remember that KESM is a safe space for everyone, regardless of who you voted for or what party you are a part of. We are a community that supports kids whose parents have cancer. We're not supporting anything else. So please keep that in mind as we kind of navigate this month in particular, but every month as well. All right, friends, I know that was a lot of information. Thank you so much for hanging in with me as we went through all those deep dives. Looking ahead into December, we have a lot of big things going on, so please get excited. Giving Tuesday is happening on December 1st. We are also sending our post-Giving Tuesday updates, sending thank yous after Giving Tuesday, so let's get excited about that. Remember that our returning camper apps are opening on December 8th. Let's get our families re-registered and ready to go for a wonderful year here at KESM. And remember that Summit is open. It's happening. We're super excited for Virtual Summit for this year. Remember that in order to guarantee a t-shirt, you need to sign up by the 15th of November. So please make sure that you sign up so that you can guarantee getting a t-shirt. Thank you all so much, friends, for following me on this journey through looking at October, talking about November, and thinking into the future of December. I hope you all have a great day, and keep an eye on the Facebook directors page for KESM directors for a discussion in a couple days. Thanks, friends. Bye.